Hi, Ready Jeff here again for another video in this series on linguistics, in traditional linguistics for user assistants and translators and translation for interpretation and a lot of things. So in this one, I want to cover the role of what we call LangOps now, language ops. It's really the DevOps, development ops, infrastructure engineers for platforms and tools that are used by technical writers, video content creators, and translators, and etc., interpreters. The new term is LangOps, and that comes from DevOps, where in the field where you're building tools, you're not building the products, you're building the platforms and the tools that you can put products on top of them and do that. So you think about if you think of like DevOps is really in the translation management systems, globalization management systems, project management systems, and then you can put tools on top of that. You can put like a machine translation system, a translation memory, and put that on top of that and make this all work, right? So those are the platforms. So that's really what DevOps actually combines these tools and platforms together so it becomes a workflow service, if you want. So usually what happens is, and the people that do this, now what happens is a lot of people that get hired into the roles for working in systems are usually computational linguistics, but they're not usually always the engineers, right? You have engineers that have software engineering background to actually build these systems. So it's really good to have a mixture of these. And a computational linguist is already a distance away from a linguist. I've always said that the difference between, I'll do another video on this one. So I'll do a separate video on computational linguistics. I think this is really important, but I'll do a separate one. So a DevOps or a LangOps engineer needs to understand they have a requirement to understand the needs of their users, who tend to be these technical writers, video content creators, translators, interpreters, all this. They need to understand the need. They need to understand a basic amount of concepts for when they say, hey, we need a spell checker, we need a grammar checker, we need something to do word counts, we need something that can understand, different types of morphology, and they need to understand that the requirement there, and they have to understand how to put that into place and make it happen. And sometimes integrating different tools together for it to happen, right? And what they're doing is they're looking for the overall landscape. Again, the infrastructure, they're looking at the landscape, the tools, and how these things work together. And the testing of they're not going to create other problems. So I think it's really important that the user, that is the technical writers, the content creators, translators, they need to be able to explain to their DevOps, LangOps people what their needs are without getting too much into their geeky world, which usually is not geeky in the linguistic sense enough. But I think that there's a great it's fun to talk with. I do a lot of DevOps engineers that work in these types of tools, and they see it from a very applied and a very pure practical way, but they don't see it how always the users need to be using it. And so that's really sometimes a challenge. And sometimes the risk is always you create a product that doesn't have the features that the users want. Okay, so this happens, or it's not quite how the users wanted it. So this is something where I think that, again, I really emphasize that the users of these tools, of whatever we want to call these tools for content creation, for translation, they need to be able to work with their dev teams, but DevOps teams, LangOps teams, to be able to express what they need. And the DevOps teams, the LangOps teams, they need to actually also be able to show that they understand and they can propose different ideas, and that can help the tech writers, the tech authors, to go beyond some simple basic needs, because usually the need for measurements, a good LangOps person is going to think about the measurements and the KPIs, the metrics and all that to be able to show the value and the productivity. And that's usually beyond what a usual author is going to be working on, right? A translator will do videos because they need to be actually looking how many words they translate and calculate that, and especially freelancers, they need to be calculated to get paid. But I think this is a good way this is a good world where this is where the communication is really important between these types of people. And I'll talk more about in another video about how the computational linguists and the linguistic, the word lovers, how they need to work together. So that's just a little video on that, and thanks for listening, and feel free to reach out if you get any questions.